What's up? I'm John Vaughn, and I'm going to go in and give you a quick overview and help you understand specifically how to use our inbuilt spin text generator to spin your text and how to use our message segments and our message groups. But before I go and show you how to actually do it in the software, I want to first just give you a brief explanation and draw a little bit of diagrams here and show you specifically how it actually works. So I'm going to make myself small over here. Hey, I'm still here. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually just go in and show you. I'm going to draw some diagrams so that you can understand exactly how our message segments and our message groups actually work, okay? So over here, we're going to have a message group. And over here, we're going to have a message segment. Okay? And I'm just going to pseudo create these things so that you can understand through the diagram how they're actually working and how they'll work for you and what they'll accomplish for you. And then after that, we'll actually dive in and we'll go into the software and we'll get them created in the same format that we're creating here. So first, what we're going to do, what is a spin text? Well, a spin text is a text generator that allows you to basically create text. So you'll see what I mean in this video. But what it does is allows you to basically say the same message, but without using the exact same words every single time. So let me just show you an example. I am going to create a message segment, and this is going to be called greeting. Okay, actually, let me not do this. Let me first I'm going to just make something really generic so it will be fast, and then we'll come back and actually make it into a use case that may make more sense to you. Okay? So first I'm going to actually create a spin text, and this is going to say alpha. And inside alpha, what we're going to do is we're going to create an A, a B, and a C. Okay? And then I'm going to create another message segment, and this is going to be called num. And inside num, we're going to create a 1, a 2, and a 3. Okay? So we have a message segment called alpha with an A, B, and C. We have a message segment called num with a 1, 2, and 3. So now we're going to come over here and we're going to create a message group, and we're just going to call it G1. And we are going to create in our message group, we are essentially going to create our first message. So we're going to call this G1 prime, and this is just going to be alpha, and then num. Okay, now we're going to create our second message. Now we're going to create our second message in our message group. We're going to call this GL2, and this is just going to be num, and then alpha. Okay? So hopefully you can understand what we've done so far. We've created two message segments, one message segment called alpha, and that contains an A, B, and C, one message segment called num, and that contains a 1, 2, and 3, and we've created a message group called G1, and in that G1 we've created two separate messages. The first message, G1, with a little 1 as a prime number, as a subscript, and that contains the message segment alpha, then the message segment num, and then we've created a second message in that message group, G1 with a subscript of 2, and that contains the message segment num and the message segment alpha. So now, if we want to actually use the message group G1, what's going to actually happen is we're first going to come over here to G1, and we're going to randomly pick one of these two messages. Okay? So let's say we're going to randomly pick G1, 2. So now whenever we create that, we know we first need to go and actually get this message segment called num. So we're going to come find this message segment called num, and we're going to see there's 3 components. So we're going to randomly pick one of those 3 components. So let's say this is going to be 2. Now we're going to see, okay, the next thing we need is alpha. So let's go find our message segment alpha, and we can see we have 3 components here. So we're going to randomly pick one of those components, let's say C, and our G1 message, whenever we call G1, is now equal to 2C. Now let's call G1 again, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to come up here to G1, we're going to randomly pick one of these. So let's say we randomly pick G1 subscript 2 again. Now we're going to look and we're going to see, oh hey, we need a message segment num. We're going to come over here, we're going to find our message segment num, and we're going to see, hey, this has 3 values. Randomly pick one of those 3 values, so we're going to pick a 1. And we're going to say, okay, now we also need the message segment alpha. Let's go find our message segment alpha, which we found over here, and we can see this contains 3 different elements, A, B, and C. Let's randomly pick one of them, so we're going to randomly pick B. Okay? Now, let's do G1 again. So we're going to come over here, we're going to pick a G1. Let's say we randomly pick the G1 subprime 1. So we're going to come over here and we're going to look, hey, we need a message segment alpha. We're going to come over here and we're going to find alpha has 3 elements. We're going to randomly pick one. Let's say we randomly pick B. And then we're going to say, okay, hey, we also need a num. So let's come over here and find our num. It has 3 elements. Let's randomly pick one. That's going to be B1. Okay? So hopefully from this process, you can see exactly what's happening with your spin text. You can create a message segment and put multiple different segments in there, and then you can create message groups, and you can build those message groups from different message segments, and you can create multiple different messages in your message groups, and then anytime you want to use that message group, the spin text will automatically create that specific message for you randomly based on how you've actually set it up. Okay? So hopefully that made sense. So let's go in and actually create a message segment and a message group that makes a little bit more sense for how you might use it. So let's create a message segment called greeting. And inside greeting, we're going to put hi, hello, hey, hola. All right, and then let's create another message segment that says, how are you? And that's going to contain, how are you doing? That's going to contain, how are you today? That's going to contain, how's your day going? Okay, so we've created 2 message segments. One message segment called greeting that has 4 different parts to the greeting, and we've created one message segment called how are you that contains 3 different segments to that. Now let's go in and create a message group, and just to try to confuse you enough where this really sticks in your head, we're going to create our message group, and we're going to call this greeting. And inside our message group, now let's just put these in little brackets so that you can understand. We're going to go in and say greeting. And then how are you? Okay? And this is all we've done. We've created our message segments. Now we've created our message group. We've called our message group greeting. And inside our message group greeting, we've created one message. And that message contains our greeting message segment and it contains our how are you message segment. Now let's say somewhere we want to use this message group greeting. So now we go to use this, and you'll see in just a little bit how to use this in the software. I just first wanted to make sure you're very clear on exactly how this works, and then we'll just fly through actually creating this and setting it up inside the software. Okay? So I'm going to use this message group greeting, and anytime I want to use this, what am I going to do? I'm going to come find this message group, and I'm going to randomly pick one of the messages. Now this message group happens to only have one message. So I'm going to say, okay, to make this message, I need a greeting. So let's go find my greeting. Let's pick one of these. So I'm going to randomly pick one that says hello. Now I need a how are you. So let's find my how are you segment, and I'm going to randomly pick one of these. So I'll pick this one randomly. How's your day going? All right, let's say I want to use this greeting again. All right, so I'm going to come up here. I'm going to randomly pick one of the messages in this message group. There only happens to actually be one of these messages, so I'm going to create it. First, I need a message segment greeting. I'm going to come over here to my message segment greeting. I see that there's 4 elements. I'm going to randomly pick one of them. Let's say I pick hi. Now, I've got that part. Now I also need a message segment, how are you? I'm going to come find my message segment, how are you? I can see that there's 3 different elements. I'm going to randomly pick one of them, and it's going to be this one right here. How are you today? So you can see we've used this message group greeting, and it's been triggered twice. And the first time it triggered, it automatically created the message, hello, how's your day going? And then we used it again, and whenever we used it again, it automatically created the message, hi, how are you today? And it's creating those from our message segments, from our message groups. All right? Now what this is doing, what this Spintex is doing, is it is easily allowing us to go in and basically say the exact same message without using the exact same words over and over. So that if I'm using this message group and it ends up being used, let's say 10 times to send a message to people, each one of those times there are slight variations in the actual words, so I'm not sending the exact same words every single time, but I'm saying the exact same message. So now this is what's called a permutation, and you can see that our greeting has 4 elements, and our how are you has 3 elements. So that means if I multiply 4 times 3, my message group greeting has a total of 12 possible messages. So there's 12 different unique messages that could actually be sent out. It can create 12 unique variations based on the fact that we have 4 different values in our greeting segment and 3 different values in our how are you segment. So if we added one more segment, let's call it segment A, and that had 7 values in it, and we added over here segment A, that would be 4 times 3 times 7. So that would essentially be 12 times 7. So that would be 84 unique messages that could be sent out. So hopefully now this is very clear to you how the message segments, how the message groups work, and how the inbuilt Spintex generator will allow you to spin up messages that are relaying the same meaning, but they are using different actual words, so that as you send this greeting, over and over and over again, you're not using the exact same words every single time, and someone thinks you're just copying and pasting the message over and over again. So now you can understand how the message segments and the message group works, and how the Spintex generator actually works. Now let's go into the actual software and create this so you can see how we actually create it inside the software. Alright, so now let's actually go in and create the Spintex and use the Spintex generator and create some message segments and create some message groups inside of FriendConnector. So to do it in FriendConnector, what we're going to do, let me just turn this on for you real quick so you can see it right over here. What we're going to do is we're going to come over here, we're going to click on these little dots, and we're going to come over here to where it says Settings. We're going to click on these settings, and you'll be able to see a tab that says Segments and a tab that says Groups. So let's go in, and just like our last example, let's create some message segments. So we're going to create one. This one is going to be called Greeting, and this one is going to say Hey, and I'm going to use a merge field. So I'm going to actually use their name as a merge field. So this one's going to say Hey first name, and then I'm going to add it. I'm going to create another one. This one is going to say Hi first name. Then I'm going to create another one, and this one is going to say Hello first name. I'm going to create another one. This one's going to say What's up first name. And I'm going to create another one that says Hey ya first name. And I'm going to create another one that says Hola first name. Okay, so I've created my greeting, and I've created here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different parts of my actual segment. So now I'm going to actually save this. Okay. And then I'm also going to go to the left and make this a little bit bigger so that you can see the whole thing over there. Okay, sorry about that. Now you can see everything. So I've created my first segment, and I'm going to create one more message segment. And this one is going to be called How Are You? So I've created one that says, How are you doing today? I've created another one that says, How are you doing? I'm creating another one that says, How's your day going? I'm creating another one that's saying, How's your day going so far? Okay, so I've created another segment, and this one is called How Are You? This one is called How Are You? And it's saying, How are you doing today? How are you doing? How's your day going? How is your day going so far? And I'm going to go ahead and save that. Now I've got 2 of these message segments created, okay, just like we did previously. So I've got 2 of these created. Now if I want to go in and edit it, I can just click on this edit button. I can go in and delete some. I can add more if I want to. Alright, if I want to just delete this message segment completely, I can delete it from right there. If I want to just kind of look at what's there, I can just preview, and it will kind of go in and show me all the different messages that are part of this message segment. Okay, so now let's go in and create a group just like we did before, and this is going to say Greeting, how are you? You can call this whatever you want to call it. I'm just calling it Greeting, how are you? Now let's build our first message, and we're just going to go in. Now here we have the option where we can add our message segments that we've just created. We can add in some static text if we just want some static text to be part of this message. And we can also add in any of our keywords, which here we have first name and last name as the actual keyword. Okay? So all we're going to do is we're going to add a message segment, and that's going to be our greeting. We're going to add another message segment, and that's going to be our how are you. We're going to click this add button, and we're going to click this save. And there we go. We've created our first message group. Now, our first message group only has one message in it, and that message is built of a greeting message segment and a how are you message segment. Our greeting message segment has 6 different messages in that segment, and our how are you has 4 different messages in that segment. That's 6 times 24, or that's 6 times 4, which is 24 unique messages that can be created anytime I use a greeting, how are you? So anytime I use this message, there's one of 24 possible messages that will be the output and that will actually be sent out. So this is exactly how you go in and create your message groups using the message segments.